Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. So this week we are talking about redefining words. Now, yesterday, who was here yesterday for yesterday's thing? Because yesterday was, it was like a mind-blowing thing. It took me, I'm going to say, a few weeks to kind of unpack. I was having this brain twist. Have you ever had that? Where you're just kind of like going, oh, I just can't quite figure this out. Why am I doing this when I want to do that? Why is this happening? Blah, 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 blah. And here's the thing that I noticed was redefining what a word has always meant to you is one of the ways that we liberate ourselves from all those old constraints, all those old belief systems, that old crap that's just essentially held us back. And when we redefine our words, we get to do it on our terms and not someone else's, right? So yesterday we redefined the definition of easy and the definition of hard. And I don't know about you, but I've had a crazy, easy morning doing a bunch of hard stuff. And I'll tell you what, I have loved every minute of it. I've reveled in it and I've enforced it into my journal. I grabbed my journal and I wrote out just exactly how fabulous it feels to be doing all these easy things. Now, if you haven't watched yesterday's show, I'm not going to give you a recap. I'm going to say, go watch it because it is a needle mover. I mean, I was almost in tears with this whole revelation of how we can redefine this idea of easy and redefine this idea of hard. And when we do it to serve ourselves, well, everything changes. I've got a new word for you today. I was going to do two, but I kind of parked myself on this one word. You ready for it? Should. Should. The word should. I hate that word. I hate that word with an absolute passion. I want it gone. I want it removed from the entire dictionary. Get rid of it. So when we talk about should, right, we're talking about a word that's used to indicate obligation or duty, used to indicate what's probable. And my question is, who gets to determine what that is? Who? Who gets to say, this is what you should do? Now, I'm going to get into the weeds on this one, and I'm going to tell you what, this is the key for taking off your people-pleasing notion that this is how you need to live your life. I think it's time. What do you think? Are you ready for it? All right, let's get into it because I promise you, this is one of those other things that just kind of shook me up a little bit. But I really believe that the word should is just code for people pleasing. You can take that one to the bank. It is. It's code for people pleasing. And I'm not talking about like the should, like, something smells. I should take out the trash. Okay, yeah, you probably should take out the trash. There's no judgment there. There's no condemnation. There's no people pleasing there. It's just, we have to take out the damn trash. It stinks. Let's take out the trash. But I'm talking about sometimes the well-meaning people, and I'm talking about sometimes the other people who just think that they know everything. You know those people who say, you should, and then fill in that blank with whatever it is that they're deciding to put on your plate that you did not ask for, right? How about that? So I have shared this story, but I'm going to put it in the context of the word should. And I think it's really important because it's an imperative needle mover for all of us. And it's also my little story of how I got to this place that I think is a really good illustration. And this is about 21 years ago. 21 years ago, probably around the same time. Wouldn't it be funny if it was 21 years ago to the day? Well, 21 years ago, as you know, I started Menu Mailer back in the day. That was in January of 2001. We'd kind of just soft launched it, I would say, in the 2000s, but everything was like ready to go and what have you in 2001. And later on, of course, we changed the name to Saving Dinner, and there's a whole story behind that. It was a testimonial that came in, and it, forever changed everything, because then it changed the name of the book. It changed everything. So, but there was a time where I was struggling with a number of things. Everything was wrong in my life. At the time, I was a freelance writer. At the time, I was homeschooling my children on this itsy bitsy, they would call a mini farm right now. At the time, we had the finances in that household was just as scary as all get out. Not enough, right? Even though I look back and I remember the mortgage was like $600 a month, something silly and small compared to the way things are nowadays. But, back then we just had nothing. We had a well that was 35 feet deep. And, the thing was, sometimes we had to share water in the tub. That's how bad it was. That's how terrible this place was. And with no money, you don't go digging wells, right? So I also had a child who at that time, 21 years ago, was about 8 or 9 years old and couldn't read. He was struggling like all get out. He was having a whole bunch of trouble. I wanted to get him in school. My husband was like, no, that's not going to happen. Not under my watch, and what I say goes. Yeah, all this garbage. So I felt just super helpless. No resources, no nothing. I turned to my pastor and I said, I need help. What am I going to do here? And things had just started to move a little bit with my business, just a tiny, tiny bit. Things were starting to happen. I was starting to feel a little bit good for a change on what I was doing, backing away a little bit from the exhaustion of doing all of those freelance assignments, because I think I told you, I used to have like a list of freelance assignments that I would do. And I would stay up till 1, 2 o'clock, even 3 o'clock in the morning. This is back in the day, and just crank this stuff out so that I could earn money for the family. So this pastor looks at me and I tell him exactly what's going on. I tell him what my woes are and all this stuff. And he turned at me. He actually pointed his finger at me, pointed a finger at me. You should drop this business idea at once. Become an accountant with H&R Block. That's what my wife is doing, and it's really helping our financial situation. And he said, and furthermore, get real. This is never going to work, your idea here. No one's going to pay you for that. I said, well, they are. Dismiss, dismiss, dismiss. How many here, pinkies up, hate to be dismissed? Anyone? What does it do inside of you? Well, it can do several things. One, it can you can turn on yourself and say, oh, they're right. I'm just going to pick up my little, bag and walk away and hide under this little rock. Or it can turn you into someone who turns on fire. We'll talk about that. So I remember at the time, though, when he said all of this stuff, yeah, that's right, man. See what Catherine just said? Dismissal fires me up. You better believe it. I was on fire, but I didn't quite know it, because at this time, understand, this is 21 years ago, I am just learning about understanding where my voice was, right? This is just as I was being diagnosed with this thyroid condition, all kinds of stuff going on at that time. So I had a confluence of emotion going on at the time. I was angry. I was wondering if he's right. I was emotional. I was protective about this new idea that I had. I was confused. I started questioning myself. Am I crazy? Is this wrong? But yet deep down inside of me, I knew that this pastor, this man, man of God, was shooting on me. That's what he was doing. He was shooting all over me. He wasn't interested in how I felt about anything. He wasn't interested in any kind of a discussion about this business. He wasn't interested in hearing from me. He was interested in quick fix, shut her up. A doctor would have given me an antidepressant, that kind of a thing. You know what I'm talking about? Because it's shut up and put up, and that's what shooting does to people. Shut up, listen to me, perform for me, woman. Do what I say. So I thought about this for a minute, and I remember I was so taken aback. I shut it down for a minute, and I remember thinking to myself, well, he doesn't really know me that well because they've just, come along. This is a new pastor and all of that. And now I look back and I go, his emotional investment in me, none, zero, nothing. And he wasn't coming from a place of genuine concern for my well-being, but a genuine concern to fix it, shut her up, and get this done. Period. Maybe that wasn't intentional. Maybe that wasn't his heart. But let me tell you, that's how I picked up on it. That's how it felt to me. I felt shut down and dismissed again. And boy, was I tired of doing that. I should do this for my family. I should do this for security. I should do it for straight up cash flow. And I said, well, I'm just not good with them. It doesn't matter what you want. It's what's right, is what he said. That is colossal shoulding with a capital S. And I just want to say right now, the word should is a shame word. It's a shame word. It leads to feelings of inadequacy. It leads to frustration, self-doubt, even self-rejection, because it belittles. You should do this. And I'm going to tell you what to do it because you are not a grown up ass enough woman to be able to do it for yourself. So I'm going to should on you. Perform for me. People please for this imaginary audience. That's what should does. That's what should does. And then when we, when we should on others, that's exactly what we're doing. You might have been shoulded on, but do you should on others as well? We might not realize we're doing it. We might think that we're doing it in the name of help or advice, but it's never, advice when it's unsolicited, by the way. Never, 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 never. Unless you ask permission, of course, and you say, would you like a little feedback on that? That's how we honor one another's dignity, isn't it? I think that's an important thing. So I don't want anyone telling me how I should show up in the world. Do you? Do you want that? And I don't think sometimes that we realize that we're doing this because this has happened to us since we were kids. This happened to us as we were adults. This happens to us on the regular. It just does. It's part of the whole thing. But the thing that I want you to recognize is that who are we doing this for? An imaginary audience that, this fake audience that we're performing for? I always think about that when I think about people pleasing. What's it about? I think of the little cartoon Quick Draw McGraw shooting on the sheriff's, or, getting his hoofs shot at. Dance, I always think of those weird cartoons and all these other kind of things. But I think what we need to be looking at is what should is. It is arrogant because it's saying, I know better than you do about your own life. And it is disrespectful because it's saying that you do not have the adequate amount of tenacity to figure things out for yourself. That's what it does. So I don't know about you, but I hope that's blowing you away. And especially if you're one of these ones who are going around and shoulding people all over the place. And if somebody else is doing it back to you, push it back. Don't allow them. And even a rebuttal might be, I didn't give you permission to give me advice and interject yourself into my life with a smile on your face. I've been should on from doctors before. I bet you have too. I have been should on and should on and should on. And so have you. I know. But we want to get out of that. We want to stop it. And we have to stop it with ourselves as well. And we do it all day long. For me, one of the things that I was doing, and this is why I got to this place of just like this whole notion of redefining the word easy and redefining the word hard, was I would find myself in this place of constant catch up. And what happens with this constant catch up is, first of all, it drains your adrenals. It's really bad and it's high stress producing. It also puts you in a place where you feel inadequate all the time. And I should be working out. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. But when we're doing this, we're running a soundtrack in the back of our minds that says, you're inadequate. You can't do this. You're not doing it right. Why aren't you doing this? You can't do that. You've got to get on this. What is that doing? What is that doing in the long run? In the long run, it's just there's a constant thumb on your head and on your head, on your head. It keeps you emotionally exhausted. It keeps you feeling less than. That's what shoulding does. We should on others, others should on you, and then we should on ourselves. And when we do that, we find ourselves in this continual loop of negativity on autoplay, just constantly right here in your ear. In your ear. No, that messes with us. It totally messes with us. It's a brain twister. It puts us on emotional overload. It leads to emotional exhaustion, mental fatigue, anguish, right? And it's a pattern of saying you're not enough is what it is. You should be doing something else. You should be doing something else. So I think there's two things that we need to do. First of all, we're not going to get rid of the word should, right? Maybe what we need to do, though, is thinking of realigning with the way we use the word should, and we don't bring out should to other people. Can we just agree to that? Right? Who are we? What kind of arrogance, what kind of buffoonery is this that we would dare to tell someone else how to run their lives? That includes our grown children, by the way. Sorry. Had to say it. It's true. So there's two important focuses, I think, that we need to bring into this whole word should, and so that we can dump should, mostly anyway, from our vocabulary. And the first one is, we need to be more benefit centric. That is, so let's use the example of working out. I should work out. That's a big, I should be working out. Oh, I was saying this to Mark even last, I should be working out. I've got all this stuff to do. And I've got this, and I've got this phone call. I've got to get on the phone. I have to research this. I've got this webinar that I'm working on. Blah, 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 blah. All the voices, all the voices. So what I did was, it opens the door to butt, by the way, as well. So I should be working out, but I'm not smart enough to be able to figure this out. I'm not smart enough, or I'm not good enough to be able to work this into my calendar. I'm not, strong enough to be able to follow through on this, right? So instead, what I've been doing is looking at the benefits, because I have never in my life ever regretted any workout except CrossFit that one time, because I think CrossFit, for me anyway, it was just too much. but I've never regretted it, not one time. So I love how good I feel after I work out. I love it. I am hooked on that dopamine, that serotonin. I am hooked on all of that stuff. I'm hooked on the energy level for the rest of the day. It makes sense for me to do this. It makes sense for me to be benefit centric and figure out where it fits in my schedule, even if it means on some days I've got to move it around. Because, are you ready for this? I had a thing where we had some people coming over to do some work at our house. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? They're going to be here at 9 o'clock. That's my workout time. How's this all going to work out? I could have moved it and say, okay, well, for today, it's going to be at 2:30 instead of the normal time. But this is just how our brains work. This is how we get just kind of thrown into these slots, and how, we have to expand the way we think and look at the options and the opportunities in the ways to figure out, well, if I'm going to get this benefit, when am I going to fit it in? That's it. And that's what I did. So I'm just letting you know. It's also number 2 is value centric, right? So instead of you should, start with the value first. So back to working out, I'm getting stronger every single day. Look at the benefit there. Look at the value there. That is a value that I hold very dear. Being fit and being strong is incredibly important to me as a 63-year-old woman, because that's going to mean that as an 83-year-old woman, I'll be able to carry that with me. Starting at 83 would be really difficult. Starting now, really smart. So I keep looking at that and then just say, you know what? I just want to keep going. I just want to keep this up. It's a great value to have, and it's a good and important value to have, not just for my body, but for my heart, mind, body, and soul. That's it. So let's remember this important distinction, though, about the word should. When we do something that we think we should do, it's often rooted in other people's expectations, right? Right? So this is their idea. It's not yours. I just want to point that out right now. Had I just said, okay, H&R Block, here I come, that was their idea for my life. Look what's happened in 21 years. Look how everything has just changed and shifted, not just in my life, but I get to touch other people's lives as well. I get to bring people into my little ripple effect circle here. And then you get to do the same, and you get to do the same, and we all get to do the same, and you get a car, and you get a car. I've always wanted to Oprah that, but you know what I'm saying, right? This is how this whole thing works. Because if it were your idea, get this is important. You would say, I want to do X, not I should do this. Do you see the difference? I want is so much different than I should. Should is for someone else. Want is for you. Oh my gosh, how important is that? Can we drive that one home? So let me just say this as we kind of wrap this up a little bit. You know, when the pastor that told me what I should do, and I told him what I wanted to do, I told him what I was going to do. And at that moment, at 21 years, when I felt the anger brewing and I decided not to snap and bite the head off of this pastor of my church, I found my voice, ladies. I found my voice. I stood up for myself for the first time in a very, very long time. And I said to him this, I know what you think I should do, but this is what I'm going to do because I really feel that God's leading me on this one. But thanks for your input. And that's how it was. I think I made the right call. What about you? Where are you on this whole thing? Are people shooting on you? Are you shooting on other people? Are you shooting on yourself? How about if we redirect that into shoulds, going with, you should take out the trash and keep this other trash of how we use the word should alone. What do you say? Time to find your voice, time to use it, and time to rise up and to be the very best that you can be. And it starts with understanding there's no need to should on yourself or anyone else, as a matter of fact. You are enough. I like that. Alrighty. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Tomorrow we're going to another hard one. Wait till you see the one we're bringing out tomorrow. We're going to trot out another word that absolutely 100% needs redefining. I hope you join me for that. See you tomorrow. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.